Welcome to the Amanda Effect, where I thrive to inspire, encourage, and uplift you through life's journey. I'm here to help educate you on self-improvement in life's different categories, including family, careers, relationships, mental health, and so much more. So let's get started because I'm excited for you to feel the Amanda Effect. Hello and welcome to the Amanda Effect with Topher.
Hey guys.
This energy is such a front right now because it's early on a Sunday morning and I'm not awake. And Topher's making fun of me for it.
Yeah, he is
It's
struggling.
fine. I have the magic juice.
And Amanda is not a morning person.
I'm not. I think I've said that to y'all. I was doing really good for like a couple weeks, and literally this week, my body was like, "You are tripping. Like, stop it. We're not getting up. We're not functioning this early." But then after that, I'm good. I'm getting my stuff done. I'm motivated. The sun is out, but I didn't come up with the birds today.
I guess.
Ain't gonna happen, Captain. How are you? How was your week?
It was good. It was busy. It was
Like
fun.
a good busy?
Yeah. Busy is always good in what I do. So
don't let him fool y'all. Busy is not always good.
Well, in my world, busy is good because if you don't have clients to talk to, you're gonna find me on the corner. So
what I tell you about making sure I can pass a lie detector test?
Just saying. So as long as I got clients to talk to, I'm not on the corner.
If you're looking for me, I'll be on the block.
So yeah. So
that's good. No, it's definitely been a busy but successful week for me. It's been fun. I had my photo shoot this week. I just suggest everybody, I don't care who you are, what your background is, just schedule a photo shoot for no reason. You gotta have a photo shoot. Get your makeup done, get your hair done, get your hair cut. And then I don't know, go to do regular stuff, dress up, go to the grocery store because you just gonna feel like $1 million. That was like the biggest insecurity booster I've ever had in my entire life. It was so great. I highly suggest everybody just do that for no reason. It don't have to have a reason. Having a reason is great, but for no reason is perfectly acceptable.
Well, there you go.
Here's my tip of the day. Go get dressed up. Walk into your boss status. So I'm going to do something while we're talking. And I probably could have did it without actually making it noticeable, but where's the fun in that? I don't like the color on our names. So I'm going to change it.
Okay.
Just so y'all to know how together I am today. Ta-da! I do many things. So some things don't get put back together when I'm not together. So I'm super, super excited about having this conversation today. Mostly because this conversation is being had. And I feel like I'm supposed to bring these conversations that are being had to light. Don't ask me why, y'all. Nobody told me I had to. Jesus, maybe. He could be like, Amanda, mind your business and hush your mouth. But as of now, I feel like he's okay with what I'm doing. So we're just going to go ahead and do it. So there's so many different things. There's policies and conversations and how people work and in their lives being brought up about gender exclusivity. I practice saying that word just so y'all know. Because Topher makes fun of me and he's a bully.
But being been fired.
I fired you a couple times, didn't I?
I said shots have been fired. Like pow pow.
I'm trying to beat you to the punch. But yeah, so because I hear people saying, and as somebody who doesn't really know a lot about that community, the trans and gender neutral, that sort of thing, I have questions. I always have questions, and I ask questions because I want to know. Yes, I've looked things up. I've read articles. It started mostly with the breastfeeding to chest feeding. Yes. That's when I kind of got like, and usually when I'm bothered, when my spirit gets bothered, I need to talk about it. It's not hard to bother my spirit, y'all. Just y'all can ask my husband. So yeah, so it started there, and then of course you had the Miss Potato Head going to Potato Head, that sort of thing. So I started reading up on this stuff and exactly what they meant, because headlines of articles are meant to be deceiving. They want to catch your attention and spark a conversation. So you have to actually read these articles. So I started reading them, and what they were saying really didn't not make sense, but I just kind of have some questions as far as, the emotion behind it for those who are in that community, for those who are feeling it. So since me and Topher are in that community, of course I had to go find somebody who I can ask these questions to. Her name is Jess. She absolutely has her own podcast. I'm not sure if she's currently in between seasons or not. I'll let her tell you that. It's Two Gays and Jays, and she is just the best. She's hilarious, and
she's never worked like a fan literally on the hottest summer day.
As long as you're not wearing cargos for no reason. So without further
layers to that, but like
I just really enjoy talking to her about it because she's so serious. That's but so she's gonna help me out. She's gonna help me answer some questions as far as the feelings, because she's in the community. So welcome to the Amanda Effect, Jess.
What's up, guys? How are you? Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you for coming on and talking about this controversial conversation that we're about to have.
Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite conversations to have, because I think they're super important. I think they are super important, especially with the way that the world is now. I feel like too many times we're shutting down conversations as opposed to having them. And that just creates even more tension than there already is. You know what I mean?
And this is why I wanted you on here, because you feel that way. You don't mind talking about it, and it's something you're really, really passionate about. And I, of course, can appreciate somebody being passionate about a conversation, because I'm not sure if I know how not to have a passionate conversation. So we're just gonna go from there. Topher, I feel like you be judging me every time you do this. Like there's so many other thoughts going in his head when he does that. So just smart. Haley, you've done a good job. So Jess, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, what you do, and your personal life. What's going on?
Well, I am a physical education teacher up in Akron. I played basketball in New York, moved back home, bought a house. Trying to think. I just started a new clothing line where I donate part of the proceeds to different nonprofits. So I mean, we've been teaching remotely now, but now I'm finally going back into the building. So I'm pretty excited about that, to see the kids. It's a crazy time, but that's pretty much it about me. I mean, I listen to podcasts where they have conversations about different topics and things that people don't agree on. And I just really, I wouldn't classify myself as somebody who's like political, but I've noticed the older that I've gotten, I've definitely tried to like be more like looking at the facts and things like that. So I like to have factual based conversations. So I know that's not technically about me, but it is because I've gotten more passionate about certain topics that 10 years ago I didn't know the first thing about. You know what I mean? So
we had the privilege of being ignorant to the fact, didn't have to worry about some of the topics that we're discussing now. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's
10 years ago.
Huh?
I said our world was just different 10 years ago.
Right.
It was. It's a weird thing to think about. Was it though? Was it? I just think it was quieter. I'm not sure if it was different.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I just feel like, and I don't know, maybe if it's just like the fact that we have all, like, we're all older now to where like you actually pay attention to these certain things, and
Maybe.
that's what it is. But
Social
something,
media too, man.
yes.
Social media, you know, everybody got the phones. Everybody's pulling out the phones when recording everything, which there are pros and cons to that. You know what I mean? So I think that's also changed too. But
I've explained social media as basically, it's like a big virtual diary, in that nobody keeps it private. Like everybody just writes everything they think on social media. It's a form of journaling at this point. Y'all remember when you had to be a certain age to join Facebook? I want a platform with just a certain age category. I don't want to be in with the boomers no more. I don't want to be with the Gen Zers. Well, the first half, because there's two apparently, Gen Zs and Gen Zs and Zennials or something. I don't know. There's like a line, one spelled with a Z, one spelled with X. I don't understand it. Anyways, I want my own space with all my other crazies. I can deal with my age crazy. I don't understand the rest of the crazy. But one, I did not know you play basketball in New York. I learned that about you.
I did, yep. Just a small D3, but you know, it gave me the opportunity to, you know, go to college at a decent price, let's say. I mean, it was a good experience. It taught me a lot. It definitely, you know, I will say, growing up in Ohio, you become very ignorant to things, especially me being white. I'm not gonna lie to you. There are things that you are certainly ignorant to if you do not step out of your comfort zone. So I thank the Lord, man, that I was able to get out of here and go to literally the melting pot of the whole entire world, which is New York City. So I'm super grateful for that. It taught me a lot. It really did.
That's awesome. I have heard that too, just from, I've only ever lived here, but my sister moved to North Carolina for some time, and she was like culture shocked because that was totally different for her, and things that were expected and how people acted. Not all bad, but like, you know, they speak down there. I didn't realize how in Ohio people don't talk to each other when they walk past one another. We went to North Carolina, everybody's like nodding like, hey, how you doing? Hi. And I was like, why are they talking? Like, what are they doing? And she was like, that's just what they do. And I was like, okay. But no, even people who move from other states to Ohio, they said, like, y'all are so uncultured for real. Like, y'all have no idea. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I don't want to be that way. So
if we get labeled that, we get labeled ignorant, and we get labeled rude.
I mean, none of those things are actually wrong, though. They probably do feel like it's rude if we walk by them and try not to make eye contact. I didn't know that wasn't normal. That's so bad. That's so bad. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into this conversation because, like I said, Jess, I have questions. We're going to start off soft. I want to talk about the Mr. Potato Head to Potato Head thing. I really want to clarify some things because what I read was, you know, the first came out, oh, Mr. Potato Head no longer being Mr. going gender neutral. That was the headline of it. And I was like, that don't make any sense. But I kind of really didn't care either. And all that sounds bad, but I didn't. I was like, oh, okay. And then I kept hearing it. And then they reversed it like, no, he's still Mr. Potato Head. We're just being neutral. And I was like, what? How does that work? So I read it. And basically what they meant was there will still be a Mr. Potato Head. There could still be a Mrs. Potato Head. They're making a line called Potato Heads where kids can now make it look like their family. Because whether people like it or not, families do not look like the traditional way that mom and dad and baby. They look different. Some people have two moms, some people have two dads. And whether we like it or not, they should be able to represent their family in the way that they know. And I think that's a great thing. They did it without making it dramatic. They did it without, I don't know, making it a big issue. I have a bigger issue with LOL dolls, but that's a whole separate topic. But I didn't understand the big controversy. And for me, it's that people weren't reading because every time I seen the post at this point, I basically just started putting an article in there. And you could tell by their response, they didn't stop to read the article. And I'm like, read it. It's not going anywhere. No, they will still have Potato Head, but he won't be Mr. And I'm like, read the article. They're adding to the line. They're not taking away. They're just giving more options.
Right. And I think that's part of the problem though. But you also have to, part of the problem too is you have to blame the media for the most part with that kind of thing, because we've gotten so used to like wanting information super quick. So what does the media do? They play into that by creating these clickbait headlines for us to just share. We don't even read what we're sharing. We just share it. Same with memes, same with pictures, same with other people's statuses who like try to post all these facts or whatever. And literally all it takes is 30 seconds of a Google search to debunk anything that anybody has posted. So, do I think that, I think the media has played into the situation of people want the information quick. So they make these headlines to draw, the clicks and the shares and the outrage, when all you really have to do is read the article. I was one of those people. I was like, bro, they about to change Toy Story? Like, we're not about to have Toy Story no more because they're about to go in and change the whole concept of Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. But that's not the case. That's not what was happening. And I think that a lot of people became ignorant to it, and instead of reading up on it, like you said, it's really self-explanatory. They're just you're adding to the line. So, I mean, I completely understand what you're saying.
They did the same thing we talked about. Go ahead, Topher.
I was going to say, but the issue is with it is that, so like people read that and they automatically feel like someone's stripping something away from them because it goes against the norm. It goes against whatever the tradition is or what they think it's supposed to be. And people can say all day long, well, I'm okay with this. I will accept this. I accept these people, until it comes to what they think is normal. And that's just where it's not fair. And, like a lot of people are sharing this like recent meme about in relation to Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, but saying that, as parents, you need to stop talking to your children about heterosexuality, homosexuality, or sexuality in general. But why would we stop having those conversations? Because most children whose parents allow them to have that safe space can tell their parents at an early age on however they identify or whoever they are attracted to. And so you should have those conversations within a safe space. And especially with Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, that's a way for you to show your children that everyone can literally have the opportunity to be able to show their family however it needs to be shown. And so people are just upset that it's going against the norm.
But at the end of the day, it's a potato.
There you go. How is it actually affecting you? That is exactly.
Like, I didn't know potatoes were gendered. I didn't know that. Like, it was
actually a skit that I seen on a reel that really was like, why do I? It was a joke between like boomers, millennials, and zennials and how they're canceling culture. But it was a skit and a reel on Instagram. He's like, stop canceling things. Like, you're ruining my childhood. He was like, how? Like, how is taking away a potato ruining your childhood? He's like, and that's not what we're doing. And they kept saying, I'm like, why does it matter? Right. Why does it matter?
It's something I don't understand.
It doesn't. And your kids are already grown. Oh, my dog is right here. Your kids are already grown at this point, so I don't understand why it ever would matter. And truthfully, Topher, to go with what you were saying, me and my sister were talking and how we don't want our kids to get the feeling to come out to us. We want them to like, hey, I'm dating somebody, and just bring them over, whether it be a guy, a girl, or whatever, and not feel like it had to be this big reveal. That's how comfortable I want my kids to be. And with that conversation started because you said, we shouldn't talk to our kids about that. My daughter is 11. And I got lucky because she barely talks about boys and is not into boys. I was into boys in preschool, okay? So I got really lucky. So, I always knew I liked boys. But um, however, because she's not, I don't want to place one way or the other on her. So I was talking to her, like, she's like, just make it exclusive. Don't, make it a gender. Just like, oh, do you like someone? Is there somebody you think? Because she understands that it's not being forced on her as well. And I want her to feel comfortable, whether it be either way. I'm not trying to, put it on her. People think that you can place these ideas into kids, which it's not that you can't, but y'all have to understand kids they're exploring creatures. That's kind of their job. Just like, so dad likes basketball, so I should play basketball. Then you play basketball, and you're like, I don't really like basketball. That's literally kind of how it works. And I'm confused on why that's a bad thing. Kids are going to explore these ideas. I think that they should. These are all things.
To say that kids don't already, like, okay, I don't understand what like, nobody's talking about sexuality and like sex in like the act of it, right? Like, I was attracted to my first female when I was in 5th grade. Okay. And you know what? Had I had somebody that either was, a mentor or a friend, or, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. I mean, our generation, fortunately, has kind of paved the way, especially I've noticed with my high school students, like, they're more comfortable in their skin now, and I wish that when I was in 5th grade and I had my first, crush on a female, that I was, I wish I was allowed to express it. Not in a way where, like, I'm not talking about like that kind of expression, but just being able to be like, I really like this girl. I think she's cool. I want to hang out with her. And that's what we have to understand, that like kids are in that mentality. So you're like, the adults are the ones who are trying to sexualize kids by saying all that nonsense that they're saying. Like, dude, I just think this girl's cool. I just want to hang out with her. Like, you taking it too far, not me. So,
right.
That's what's confusing to me. I'm like, do you think that these kids are like going to like basically actually start having like sexual intercourse in elementary school? Like, and it's just like, what? I just don't understand the like people's minds anymore. I just don't understand where they go and how they can go literally so far off track about small things. And like, if you don't think that it's a big deal, or you think that it's cool that your kid as a toddler literally asked you 1,000,001 questions about, to you, nothing, and or that they like explore this and they're like putting everything in their mouth and this, that, and the other, it just basically evolves. And
exactly, read a book.
Happens.
There are books on this. Read a book. There's literally mental, because listen, y'all, I had to, because these kids, I'm trying to do this conscious parenting thing. Remembering these are humans, not just, little servants that are supposed to obey what I say. So they have thought process, they have feelings, and they're both so different. So thinking about their age and where their mind is. Oh my gosh. Even in high school, I was on the basketball team. There weren't many females on my basketball team that were not gay. So I often got asked or looped in with them to the point where I was like, well, am I? I don't know. I just don't care. I'm just here to play basketball. What are y'all talking about? So even then, things and stuff get like brought into your head. If I would be lying to say it, I didn't sit and think, do I like girls? It was a thought. Did I ever act on it? No. I went back to the boys. It was fine. And that was it. That was literally it. I get made fun of all the time, mostly because I happen to think that women's bodies are beautiful. That makes me some form of gay. Fine. If y'all want to categorize it, that's perfectly okay with me. Because I'm telling y'all, I
don't know who's telling you that. I think men are attractive, but would I want one like talking to me like that? No.
I think puppies are cute too. That doesn't mean I want a relationship with
them. I'm saying, like, you can appreciate beauty where beauty is. You know what I'm saying?
And that's just where like it's so confusing to me or whatever. Like, I don't see that. I just don't understand like on how we so quickly can label someone or like put them in this box
to make ourselves feel comfortable. That's why people do it.
And it's just like, it just doesn't make any sense, like if I saw someone walking down the street, like if I saw a dude, I'm not going to tell him that he's attractive, but like if I like basically what he was wearing and I'm like, oh, like I like your fit, man. Like, it's like, it's not a big deal. It's not like oh well, yeah, I'm about to go home and tell my wife I need a divorce because I'm about to just, hit up the dude that I just saw walking down the street. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
I agree, but think about it. There have been conversations where, say you like, hey bro, I like your outfit. Where'd you get that from? Men are like, that's sketchy. And I'm like, how? How is that sketchy? But I've heard these conversations.
I mean, no, I know that it happens. Like, people think that it all the time. Like, I just don't.
Men wearing pink just became okay.
Yeah, like.
I hate that. I really do hate that. I think it was though because I was such a tomboy. I didn't understand it. I always liked the boy colors. I liked blue. I liked red and all those sorts of things. So it bothered me. I didn't understand it the opposite way. But Lord, yes. People, I think for me, like I said, I've never been a quiet person. So I always expressed what I thought. So if a woman's, I almost said the A word, but happens to look nice in her jeans, I'm probably going to tell her. Not a stranger. Unless we're at a bar and we're drunk, because y'all know how that goes. But either way. Yep. Y'all know how we do. Everybody's our best friend in the bathroom. It's fine. But I don't think something's wrong with that. That doesn't mean I want to sleep with her. That doesn't mean anything else. It just means I'm appreciating the way you look right now. Do your thing. That's it.
I mean, it's the same coming from me too, though. Like, and I think especially men need to understand that. Like, dude, just because a gay guy like says you look good or whatever, trust me, man. Like, it's gonna be okay. He don't necessarily want you, okay? Like, I promise you. And same with women. Like, just because if somebody who's attracted to women comes up to you and is like, hey, I really like your outfit, like that again does not necessarily mean that.
But why is that offensive? Wwhy is it offensive? Let's say that was the case.
Normal to them. Like,
but why is it offensive? To me, that's a compliment. If a woman, because it's up to me whether or not I want to, act on that, correct? So if she comes up to me and like, dang, boo, like, you look fly, I want your number. I'm like, oh, thank you, but I'm married. Like, just like I do with men. Why is it offensive? We get so offended by being hit on and told that we're, beautiful that it drives me nuts. Now, don't get me wrong, there are reasons to be offended by some things, but we're mostly talking about being hit on by the same sex. So I just don't understand why people have such a problem.
Not necessarily not even being hit on.
Correct.
Right.
Jess can attest to this. I have said, and like, how you see Jess right now, America, is how I've always known Jess. I have not known Jess to basically, like, I've never seen Jess basically look super feminine, okay?
No.
And from the time that I met Jess, we didn't love each other at first, but
No.
I've always told Jess that I thought she was really attractive. And like, is that weird? Because truthfully, I mean, like, she has more like masculine features. So like, am I supposed to be like, oh, like, I don't really know about that. Like, what's happening here? But like, people would just like, why'd you just compliment her or him? Like, I'm like, no, like, I mean, Jess is Jess. And like, but
yeah.
I mean, if you look at Jess, and Jess is always like dressed very well. And
you are too though.
And so I mean, like, it's just a compliment. And but even from that, like I said, we didn't love each other at first for multiple reasons, but we could at least accept the compliments from each other. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know, like, but luckily the people who we were around were comfortable with it. Like, it was just basically outside people who didn't really know either of us who just be like, what?
You know what's weird though? Like, I didn't think twice about it till you said it. Just did that when we got on here before. So she complimented you in that color in your hoodie.
I mean, it looks good. That color looked good on him.
It does. But nobody thought anything of it. You're like, oh, thanks. And we literally moved on. Like,
man, the world would be such a better place if people could just be like, hey, I really like your fit. Or if you wearing cargo shorts, like, can you stop doing that? Because That's like disrespectful. I think you know what? I think we need to go about that route more. Stop the cargo shorts, and then maybe we can start complimenting. You know what I'm saying? We need to dig out the bad before we can look at the good.
Oh my God.
So,
I can't.
We'll start with that. I know Chris always put together, so that's why I'm like, I'm not worried about Chris. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to show up in some cargo shorts. I know he's not, because he respects me. You know what I'm saying?
I want you to go out one time. Just meet her at a bar. You have to put flip flops
No.
on.
Oh God, don't do that, dude. He knows.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Y'all heard these cargo shorts are hilarious to me because she is legit
Really
so serious.
And anytime that she sees someone in them, she makes sure that she addresses all of her friends on social media about
tell them
whoever this person was and how someone needs to tell them.
It's her duty. It's her
yes.
public service.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on.
We can talk about cargo shorts for hours.
I know, right? It's a whole nother podcast. We'll give you your time. So make sure you have your time, boo. First of all, I do want to ask, just because I've never actually asked. Now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't ask on this. So if we need to edit out, that's fine. But I'm gonna now ask. I never asked you though, but do you identify with more masculine pronouns or feminine? Do you care? Does it bother you?
I mean, most of the time people just call me Jess. I kind of have developed my own I'm gonna be just 100% honest. Like, I kind of developed my own gender, as we want to call it, whatever we want to call it. Like, to everybody who knows me and to myself, I am just Jess 100% of the time. No, I don't get offended if somebody calls me he or she or her or whatever. If somebody, I necessarily don't get offended if somebody calls me he, but it is the whole. It's not that I get offended. I just, for instance, I was at the Ignorant Owl the other night or a couple weeks ago, and there was this couple that was sitting there and they wouldn't stop staring at me. And I could see the conversation between the two of them discussing, I could see them doing that. And I have just learned to stick up for myself more and just kind of address it, whether you want to call me, rude for doing that. But like, I just went up to him and I said, no, I'm a female. Like, I'm just going to answer your question for you so that there's no interpretation of things. Because it does get to the point where, like, when I go into public restrooms, I notice that if I'm wearing a hat, I have to take the hat off before I go in. I normally will go with a friend, and when I walk into the bathroom, I will normally say something, even if there's like a woman far away. I'll be like, "Oh, excuse me," or just so that they can hear my voice. And it's gotten to that point. So I do identify with the female pronouns, but it doesn't necessarily offend me when somebody calls me he or him. It's when you're doing it in a disrespectful manner, because you're being ignorant. You see what I'm saying? So, and I totally appreciate when someone calls me a he and then they realize after talking to me, like, then they say like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm totally fine with that. But when you do it out of disrespect, that's when I have a problem with it.
I completely understand what you're saying. And I ain't gonna lie, I'd probably double take if you walked in the bathroom and I didn't know you. So I would.
Right, but I mean, I had the woman at Planet Fitness, man. I don't know if you ever heard that story. When I walked into the bathroom, she was like, "Excuse me," and I was like, "What happened?
What? Who did it?
What happened?" And then I was like, "What?" And she was like, "Oh, I thought I knew you." No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
That was a good playoff.
I thought I was in here to look at your saggy bits. Nobody looks at your saggy bits. Get out of here. That's the funny thing too. Like, you really think I'm gonna walk in there to look at what you got going on? Like, come on, man. Come on. I don't know if you've been in the Planet Fitness locker room, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying some things.
No, I don't work out.
No, there's some things. Oh man.
I was telling somebody too, since you brought up the bathroom, it might have been you when we were on the phone talking about this, how these whole gender neutral bathroom sort of thing, people are annoyed by it. And my thing is, as a parent, do that. Because men bathrooms do not have changing tables. And I'm tired of being the only person that used to take my children to the bathroom. And I know this is a problem everywhere. Topher, I'm sure you can be frustrated with this as well.
It's very annoying.
Men change diapers, y'all. Like, get it together. And at the same time, like they now have the they call it a family bathroom, but they also have like breastfeeding rooms and stuff like that. So at this point, and here's the thing. So they basically are trying to force people to not, be who they want to be, because they don't want you guys in the bathroom. They don't want, because they're not sure who it is. Like, so like you said, you walk into female bathrooms. If I hit this one more time, you walk into female bathrooms and you get, looked at. Okay. But then if you have gender neutral bathrooms, it'll become normal. Y'all don't have to look at me like I'm crazy. You'll understand that this is a possibility. But at the same time, they really just don't want you in there. So then if we create a special bathroom, why do they get their own bathroom? So they just want people to change their minds about who they are and what they're doing, instead of actually realizing that this is a thing. They keep trying to cut it off like they used to. Like, we're not burning witches at the stakes anymore, guys. We're now embracing them and asking them for help. So I don't know how to say
I wish everyone's bathrooms were like Table 6's bathrooms.
Yeah.
Like, I get annoyed about
Yeah.
I get annoyed about like washing my hands, like how you got to wash your hands there, whatever. But like the bathroom and setup in general is the most inclusive setup you can possibly even ask for. And I just think that it gives everyone an opportunity to feel comfortable. And that is what like I appreciate about Greg and Amy for designing that like that. And it's just like, that's the best thing that they could have done. And I just wish that more places would adapt to that sort of setting, because it's what we really should see. Like,
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, so, we talked about this, Amanda, though, it's I think there's this fear base, behind these gender neutral bathrooms, where they think that like sexual assault is going to rise and blah, 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 blah. And I tell people all the time, like, okay, that you can have any fear that you want, but the numbers do not back up your fears. Because I told Amanda this, like, the majority of sexual assaults take place in or around the victim's home. The majority of sexual assaults, the perpetrator knows the victim to some capacity. So for you to create this hypothetical fear that men are going to run around pretending to identify as women just so they can go into the bathroom, like, pervert is a pervert is a pervert. They're going to find a way regardless. You think they're going to go to the depths of pretending to identify as a female? Like, no. And you don't have numbers to back up any of the arguments that you're trying to make. So that's what I just tell people all the time. Like, this whole concept of you thinking that people are going to just run into bathrooms and do these terrible things. I'm not saying that they don't happen, but on the premise that you're trying to present to people, then it really is an irrational fear that people have, and I think that's super important that people research those things, because then you would see, like, you need to be more concerned with who you let around your children on a daily basis, as opposed to some stranger in a bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So
how about stop dropping them off at the mall by themselves?
Or
actually, numbers of times it has been told that the mall is being used by sex traffickers on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But you don't want to deal with your 16-year-old, so they got to go. Honey, I promise. Today, matter of fact, when my daughter, she was open, that she was a little embarrassed. She wanted to go to Sky Zone with her friends. And I was like, I don't care. First of all, I haven't let her out the house, y'all. So this is the first time she's like really going anywhere. And she wanted to go with her friends. And I was like, that's fine. You can go, but I'll be staying. I will leave you alone, but I will be there. Like, you have lost your mind. She's 11. I'm not dropping her off. But I know that there are parents that do that. In no shade, I'm just not going to. This is what it is. My daughter understands. She knew better. She knew that was a far fetch. It's fine. She knows me.
I just think it also goes with the fact that like we continue, like everyone still pushes Catholicism, and we all know what happens in the Catholic Church. So we keep on, pushing it, and we keep on saying that this is backing up this, that, and the other. But when someone presents you with numbers on what actually has taken place in the Catholic Church compared to what has taken place in Target's bathroom, I can guarantee you the numbers from the Catholic Church trump what happened in Target's bathroom. So people just need to get over it and move on. And once again, that's where you actually are taking your children and leaving them unattended.
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
People piss me off with this stuff, so I like don't bother.
And we're worried about just getting irritated. Look at you. You over there hot.
Really
I don't often see Topher fired up. This is fun.
When Jess and I used to like go out to the bar and people would say ignorant things to her, it is like I can't stand somebody being rude and ignorant and disrespectful for no reason.
There you go.
And
for no reason, because it's none of your business. It's literally none of your business. Zero. It does not affect your life, not one bit. Even if they made the bathroom, it doesn't affect your life. You still go in and use the bathroom just like you normally would. It really does not. And I need people to understand that. I really, really do. And they want to use, and I think me and Topher can both agree to this, is how they use, that's not right. The Lord says this, the Lord says that. You're correct. God said the Bible says a lot of things. But what he also told you not to do, which is who you're supposed to be worried about, is not judge people. You're not supposed to jam this stuff down to people. So you're not supposed to ridicule people for the way that they're choosing to live their lives. That's what you're not supposed to do. You walk how you're supposed to walk, and it's a representation of him. That's all you have to worry about. This other stuff, yet again, it ain't your business. It's just not.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen that TikTok. I don't remember if it was on like Saturday Night Live or something. But the lady, the woman was like, "Listen, you can have your religion and you can believe, but that's what you believe, And not everybody else is in that same boat. And even if they are, like, okay, I can be a believer and still be gay. Like, my God doesn't judge people like that. I mean,
oh no, what do you mean? That's a way worse. That sin is way worse than premarital sex. What are you talking about, Jess?
Oh my God. That's another one too. Like, man, I need a notebook. I need a notebook on the list of what's the worst sin on down. Like, come on, man. Like, I don't understand that.
Exactly.
There's nothing to understand.
And we also have to keep in mind that the whole thing about being gay is being a sin it was not put in the Bible by God. It was put in the Bible by man, and it was put in there in like the 1920s. So I need people to go back and really do some real fact checking before you continue to preach this, that being gay is a sin and, you're going to hell and all this other kind of stuff. But people don't talk about that.
There are stories. If they read their Bible, there is absolute stories of same-sex, like sexual relationships and incest in the Bible. This is not a new concept. This isn't something that us millennials made okay because boomers love to blame us for all this stuff. We did not.
Boomers booming together, same sexes too, so they can have a seat.
They're literally living miserably. And here's my thing. We just chose not to be miserable in life. We chose to live how we wanted to live. Y'all chose to be miserable and follow what mommy and daddy said. That's perfectly fine. She doesn't like when I get worked up. You choose to be miserable and follow what mommy and daddy said instead of being what you're happy with, and that's your problem. That's gonna have to be something you deal with in your own therapy session. We chose to be happy and thriving over here, so that's what we're doing. I posted something yesterday actually, and oh my gosh, I literally shouted when I read it. It said, it's not that our generation is, sensitive. It's that we've seen the all these traditions that are toxic and unhealthy and, all this homophobia, and we refuse to live that way. We refuse to continue to let these normal toxic behaviors to continue. And excuse us for having a backbone. Me and Topher say it all the time. Y'all really in trouble when Gen Zs get to be our age because they ain't having none of y'all crap. They ain't having it now.
Mhm.
But what we're not gonna do is cancel Eminem. Let that just that's what we're not going to do.
No, and he said, but he's like the rapper Dave Chappelle. Like he's like the rapper version of Dave Chappelle. He comes for everybody. Dude has said the derogatory word for gay people many times.
I don't even know how many times. Yeah.
So many times. He makes fun of NSYNC so many times. And like, I don't care. Dude, he got me through my teen years. Like, no, don't come for Eminem, man. Don't come for Eminem.
But that's also my problem. And here's my issues with, again, adults. I'm gonna need y'all to start taking responsibility for y'all parenting. Because if you don't want your child listening to Eminem, don't let them listen to him. Make sure that they don't. I wasn't allowed to watch BET for the longest, and MTV.
MTV, yeah. So
Till my mama went to work. But
yeah.
But she couldn't block channels back then.
yeah.
But like, I wasn't like, she didn't buy me their CDs, you know, she didn't listen to it in the car and stuff like that. Of course, there's going to be places that we hear it like this. It's not, you can't cut it out, but also instilling, you know, certain behaviors and things in your kids and what you're teaching them. Like, yeah, they say these words. However, you know, you shouldn't say them. This is not wrong. Talk to your kids. Like, take the responsibility. Oh my God, Eminem, you know, causing people do this, causing people do that. Well, why didn't you know that your child was that disturbed to the point where they wanted to commit suicide? Where were you for that? They only had this person to listen to.
Yeah.
Accountability, people. I'm an accountability partner, whether you like it or not, which is probably why I don't have a lot of friends. But this is just how it is. I don't believe it because I spent a lot of my life blaming people. I think is probably my issue. I blamed people for my issues, my mom, my dad, my siblings, my husband, why this went this way, why that went that way. And it wasn't until I started taking my part in it that I start to feel better. So start figuring out, because that's the only part you can control. You can be the perfect person to somebody and they're still going to mess up. So you can only control what you do and how you react to it. With that being said, we're going to slide on over to the conversation I really want to have. So I've talked to both of you about this separately. So I'm glad they were all coming together. This breastfeeding to chest feeding. As a mom who breastfed both of her children, that were very different experiences in breastfeeding, who worked hard to make sure that her milk came through and that my babies were getting the best that they could, as watching other moms who wish they could breastfeed, but they couldn't, or stuff like that. This is a very difficult topic for me to even understand because they want to make it gender exclusive or inclusive. When I don't really think it could. I wish they had a better word for it, but I don't know anybody else besides a woman who was born with breast who can actually breastfeed. And it's such a proud moment for women. And we're still in the mix of trying to make it normal that we're in public breastfeeding our child. No, I don't mean popping out our boob full nipple and breastfeeding. I'm talking about the symbol for you seeing that they're doing that and still having a problem and sexualizing it. And I feel like the LGBTQ community often falls under, you know, the feminist category, like they're all pro women. And so I feel like this is hypocritical and kind of counterproductive to what they've been preaching because we are still trying to make strides as women. And I don't think that if you're going to do it, now isn't the time to include it. But I'm having a hard time figuring out how and where this is a topic to be inclusive for. Help me out.
So the only thing I can really speak on that is, okay, let's say I was a trans man and I transitioned to, you know, a man. But technically I was biologically born female and I want to have a child. And there actually was someone that did this and I don't know if it was on like ABC News or something. It was like, man, it was like 10, 15 years ago.
He was on Oprah. What is
pregnant man.
He transitioned and then got pregnant. And then, you know, is basically the world's first pregnant man, as they would like to, you know, as they said. So now, granted, you know, I agree with you on some points because it's kind of like, you know, we're just going to keep transitioning to these words and phrases to make everyone feel comfortable. But like, sometimes, when does it stop kind of thing.
Yeah.
But that is the example that I can kind of give you. So like if I transition to a man and then I wanted to have a child, I would still want to be called a male, even though I would be, chest feeding my child in that instance.
But they're still breast. If they're still there, are they not still breast?
I mean, to be fair, everybody has breasts if we're going to be.
Yes. And that was my thing, because like men can get breast cancer and without having a full on double D boob. Okay.
Right.
Right. And I just like, that's just where it doesn't like, I mean, if you can call it your chest, you can call it breast, if you can call it a boob, if you can call it a pec, if you can call it a tit, like it just.
I was waiting on that one.
I'm going to change it. We're going to change it here and now. It's called tit feeding. That's just it. First of all, end of the discussion.
We can call it nipple feeding if you want, because technically that's what I mean.
That's a good one too.
Because I'm just saying, the word within itself, like you said, the word within itself, breast, is already inclusive to everyone. So I really I did, y'all. I struggled with that. I was like, that's it. They took it too far. I did. I was irritated. Like I said, it really bothered my spirit. But because to me, it's already inclusive. Like that didn't matter. And again, we are trying to still normalize it and quit having people sexualize it so much, to the point where this is not the time to be inserting it in there. And then I also feel like, which I really would love to know how you feel about this, Jess. I also feel like there are just certain things that sometimes we're going to have to accept. For instance, I'll use a very basic example. I would love to be able to go swimming, my hair down, and not have a 4-hour process afterwards. I would love to. I would love if my hair didn't get all poofy and big and I have to put it up, or I could just go down and it'd be cute and all slick back. It happens like for 2 seconds when I swim. But I can't, because that's just the way my hair is made. Because you were born in the wrong body, because you feel like you are this, you should be one gender or the other. And I use that word gender loosely because I'm learning a lot about gender and how it was, human, how we decided it. But there's some things I just don't think you get in life. Like, okay, I understand you're transgender. I can even absolutely empathize with you completely. But some stuff you don't get. Some stuff you can't have. And I just think they don't get to have breastfeeding. Well, chest feeding. I just don't think that that's something they can have.
Well, I mean, see, and I don't know. I mean, is it considered offensive if you say breastfeeding now? Is that like what's happening?
As far that was the sense I got. Like they wanted to be included, but they don't want to be called. They didn't want them to be called breast because they didn't. That's a female term,
right? But that's okay. But and to kind of play off of that, that's kind of how I would present it to somebody. Like, okay, well, if you look at it as chest feeding, then you can go ahead and call it chest feeding. I personally have breasts, so that would be breastfeeding for me. I don't know if I did see a couple of posts about it. And the argument to that for everyone, listening or whatever, that would be like saying, well, it'd kind of be like Mr. Potato Head. What are we, so what deep down are you, what is the real problem with it? If we do just say chest feeding, you know what I'm saying? But then it goes into my point where it's kind of like, well, where does it end? When is it going to be, I get nervous all the time speaking because I don't know if I'm woke enough or you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say anything offensive because there are certain things that I still, I mean, there was, I don't want to say it because it is offensive, but a term for when somebody shorts you on cash and you're just like, oh, they what?
Never mind. Just never mind.
Say it. He said stop. He can say it. It's they renege. Is that what it is?
No. It starts with a J.
A J.
They rhymes with ripped.
Gypped you?
Yeah, that's
wrong with
offensive.
First of all, who says, wait a minute, who says gypped anymore? I just need to
know. Is that an old term? Is that an old term?
That's what I'm saying.
No, I say it all the time. Kind of like tomfoolery. Is like tomfoolery going to be offensive because of guys named Tom? Like, I need to know these things. But no, gypped is technically, it's an offensive term to gypsies. So like, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
I hate that it made sense when you said it. I hate it. Like, I understood exactly what you meant by I feel horrible. Oh my God. Okay,
right, but you get what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, where does it? I didn't know it was offensive, but then my coworkers was like, "Nah, you can't say that. Like, you know, you got to watch. Like, that's offensive." And I'm just like, "What? I didn't know that."
So I take it as, okay, so one, and I've said this before, we definitely have to approach people in a slightly more understanding manner. If you're using it, they didn't understand, like, I think that was perfectly, feel like, hey, you know, don't say that. And you're like, okay, why? And then they told you and you're like, dang, okay, my bad, I didn't know. And then, you know, proceed, you know, forward with however you want to take that information. But I don't think that people be like, oh my God, why would you say that? Don't you know this? And then they get like really mad and you're like, I did my bad. Like, I didn't know. I absolutely have admitted I still have some ignorance when it comes to certain topics, certain things, certain slang, certain words. I'm finding out so many things. Y'all know how upset I was about the Ice Cream Man song, the little jingle. Y'all didn't know. Y'all don't know. Ah! Okay, so so apparently the you know the that jingle for the Ice Cream Man, you know, that comes around the block. It apparently was like a jingle and it has a horrible actual words to it, something about the N-word and something like that. So
well, I mean, like it was a song. Like, I mean, like a few rappers made it a song.
Well, yes, but the reason, you have to look it up. And the ice cream was a whole thing because only on Fridays or some day of the week or something like that were Black people allowed to have vanilla ice cream. Vanilla ice cream was looked at as like the top tier ice cream, so they couldn't have. It's like a thing. I really should find it. I should really find like an article or something on it. But yeah, so I was so sad because I remember used to make fun of the other ice cream trucks that didn't play that song. So now I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like I don't know. I mean, like we have conversations like that here at like my house. Like, I mean, like when Riker was like little, we never played Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and for multiple reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know why?
No, I don't play it, but
you need to get on TikTok. Topher, you know that girl on TikTok. She does like the dramatic effects, and she'll sing like a nursery rhyme that we used to like sing all the time, and then it just turns so dark so fast.
I remember like Ring Around the Rosie.
Yeah, like no,
I know what he's
saying. Like it's Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, catch a N-word by his toe. If he hollers, let him go. So like we never played that.
So where did Tiger come from? And you know what's funny is that part always weirded me out. Like tigers don't even have toes. Like I remember like being little.
Like so like there's like we never played that. Like it just and we were very cautious with like playing monkey in the middle. And
okay, is that something that I need to know that because I teach phys ed. Is that something that should not be like used as terminology? Because to me,
it's not a terminology. It was a game. It literally was a game like you played it, and the monkey was the Black person in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I will refrain from using that as one of my games.
I didn't know that when I was little. My daughter and my nephew were playing with my son, and I thought my dad is always super protective of my son because like his twin. And I thought he was mad. He's like, y'all don't play monkey in the middle. That boy, that's rude. This, and I'm like, what? Because first of all, I was always the monkey in the middle playing with my siblings. I never got, he never stuck up for me. But, and I was like, yeah, I was like, he's little. He's like, not even just because of that. That's a horrible game. And then he told me, and I was like, wait, what? What? Why you ain't tell me that? Like,
yeah, no, I had no idea.
So I mean, like Riker, just because he's seen it on things, like he's always like, I want to play monkey in the middle, and then we just change it and we'll say, no, we're going to play catch. So like we just basically
Or
change it
keep
to
away. I'll probably just change it to keep away.
there you
Because
go.
you do want to have one person in the middle. You're trying to keep it away from that person.
Yeah.
So
So like
thank you. Listen, you learn something new every day, I swear.
I've learned a lot in this conversation.
Yeah.
so I don't know. I just think that but people have these sorts of conversations, but they're not willing to go just willing to be open-minded about it.
Right.
There's been things that Jess over the years has just educated me on that I was really ignorant to. I just really never, and then especially with my wife, she was adamant about the F word, not F-U, F-A.
Yeah.
And so I think I was actually singing an Eminem song one day and I said it and she was no, no. I was it was just in the song. And she's but it's kind of if I was singing a song and said the N-word. And I was but you're not gay. And she's but I have a lot of gay friends. And I was noted. All right. Won't say it again.
Yeah.
And it's just things like that to where you have to pay attention. And it's not that you're just trying to be oh, I'm going to be offended by this, this, and this. No, just be cautious and be aware that it's not always about you.
I think what people also need to understand is I wholeheartedly do not believe that the majority of people are walking around here trying to be offensive. I think that they are just ignorant to the offenses that they're making, ignorant to the actual definition of not knowing. For instance, I had somebody very politely tell me, he didn't even hear me say the word. He was just giving an example. We were talking about, just prejudices and people being hypocritical and stuff. And he was explaining how he was always, introduced as, hey, this is my gay best friend. And he was like, why can't I just be your best friend? And I was like, oh, he had no idea, but my face hit the table. And I was like, dang. I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and apologize because I've absolutely have said that before. Or man, I was like, I want a gay best friend, make it we glamorize it they don't go through things. And then he's like, no, exactly. What if I called you my black best friend? Well, we wouldn't be friends long because that's offensive. And when he said it, I felt so stupid. I felt so dumb because had I took the 5 seconds to even analyze that, I would have understood that. And those are just the type of things that people just don't get. So again, we're not calling people bad people. We're not saying that, you're hateful. We're just saying that all of us have these things that we don't pay attention to. And that's okay. That's okay. But it's what you do with that information. That's what defines your character and who you are, for me, I think. So now, Jess, your favorite topic. I'm just going to say it and I'm just going to let you have at it. Okay. The trans community playing sports. I do have an opinion, but I really want Jess to give hers because she helped me through a couple of my ignorances of this topic. So I want her to go ahead and talk first. So go ahead and give us your spew.
It's actually funny because after we had that conversation, I actually did more research and I was like, you know what? Are men who, I should say trans women, hormonal, are they stronger than biologically born women? So that means trans women who have gone through the transition, are they still stronger than biologically born women? Okay. And the science is that after a biologically born male takes estrogen or whatever hormones that they take to transition to female, if they take those for at least 2 years, the hormone levels between that trans female and a biologically born female are about almost the same. So that was super interesting to me because it only just solidifies my argument with this is that, and this is another thing, just like we talked about the bathrooms, to me, there are not enough numbers to back up what people are trying to argue. Okay. I keep seeing, I'm not saying you, but you keep seeing people post Fallon Fox, who is a trans female MMA fighter. Okay. That is the only person I see people bringing to the table. And I'm like, first of all, you realize she's retired, has been retired since 2014, was transitioning for 6 years to that period. She started transitioning in 2006. If you look at all the females the biologically born females that she fought, all of them had losing records. The one person that did not have a losing record was the girl who TKO'd her. So she got knocked out. She got knocked out by this cisgender female. And, you know, if you also read the article about the legislature that's trying to pass, most representatives could not cite one instance where trans female athletes were an actual problem in their state. For instance, Ohio, in the past 5 years, we've had 9 trans athletes. That's trans athletes. That's not just trans female athletes. That's trans athletes. So I'll give you 2 per year. You're really concerned about 2 athletes per year. You're really pressed about that. You know what? And this is what I say to everybody. You want to fix, and this is, I listened to, I don't know, WKYC, is that?
Yeah.
Whatever. They were talking about parochial schools against public schools. You want to save women's sports? How about you stop letting schools that can recruit kids from all over the state and create these super teams? How about you stop letting those kids play against others, against public schools that don't have that same luxury? You want to save women's sports? How about you do better background checks on the coaches and the trainers that you allow?
Talk, Jess.
How many documentaries need to come out about trainers who sexually assault gymnasts or sexually assault basketball players or whatever? Like, how many times we need to see that? Those are the numbers that can back up an argument for saving women's sports, because sexual assault in sports is like 2 to 8% of athletes get sexually assaulted. So your trans argument is just, honestly, it's a hypothetical fear.
And that's with bathrooms being separated.
Yeah, and that's with bathrooms being separated. Exactly. So that's my spiel on it. Again, I'm all about numbers. So that's what I tell people. If you have stats that say, you know, there's like thousands of trans females taking scholarships away from biologically born women, and, you know, they bring up Fallon Fox again, breaking the girl's, she crushed, or they say he crushed her skull. No, she fractured her orbital bone. I can't get that right. Orbital bone. Fractured her orbital. Oh, I can't.
First of all, I'm not gonna know if you say it wrong. So orbital. Topher, can you help me? Orbital.
You're saying it.
Yeah, good. Okay. Fractured her orbital bone. Okay.
Yes.
Fractured that bone. Okay. Which is, if you Google it, again, just take 5 seconds. It is a common injury amongst MMA fighters. That is like one of it's like, I think, top 5 common injuries that happen. So again, if you had numbers to back up your arguments, and I've been arguing with multiple people about it because I'm so sick and tired of seeing Fallon Fox.
I want to tag you in all the posts that I've seen, but then I'm a troublemaker. I just want to tag you, like, just fix them.
I guarantee you've probably only seen Fallon Fox. I guarantee it.
No, correct. No, yeah, no, it's that one.
I guarantee it. And that's,
but I love everything you just said. Also, apparently, if we want to help our children, we need to educate them more, because the amount of adults walking around here who don't do research and lack of education they have, like you just did, that is 90% of the problem with this world. People are so incredibly uneducated, and I'm gonna go ahead and include myself. I'm not excluding me at all, but honestly, like, I honestly feel like that's the problem. But for me, when I brought to Jess, and literally I talked to myself all the way through this thought as I was talking to her, because I was like, you know, I have a daughter. She's not in sports, y'all, but she's in dance, and I was a tomboy, so I went here. I was like, if she's in sports, if she decides, you know, to play basketball, and I feel like, you know, a trans woman hit her too hard, I'm gonna be mad, and I'm gonna go off. First of all, if anybody hits my child too hard, I'm gonna be mad. But
if anybody does, right?
Exactly.
Right.
But hypocritical as heck for me, because I literally played with boys when I was little. I played basketball boys. I played football with boys. My mom was so mad. I broke so many pair of glasses. Came home with all kind of scratches and bruises. And guess what, y'all? I was cool. Like, they knew, because I think they also knew. I don't think that they hit me as hard as they could. But at the same time, how hypocritical of me to be like, oh, I can play with the boys, but the boys can't play with the girls. And I'm over here talking about, oh, that's not a girl color. That's everybody. It's not a boy or girl color. And I'm totally okay with that. And where I went to high school, there's a female, her name is Carrie Hall. She played football. Nobody batted an eye. It was an accomplishment, right? Mm-hmm. Because there wasn't a women's football team, but she wanted to play football. There was an accomplishment that she got to play with the boys. So I understand people's concerns. I definitely think still there should be stipulations. Like you said, up to 2 years, they should, I feel like up to 2 years, they should be on the hormone. So it's even playing field. But I don't have nowhere near as much as an issue as I thought I did. Because again, it comes down to me being a proud woman and understanding that women's sports is still half looked at as being legit. So I'm like, okay, but we still trying to come up in this world. Can we, like, all the strides that women's sports have taken, like, honestly, can we please just have something? But at the same time, especially being a Black woman, understanding that having a place for everybody is important. So I appreciate your research and your passion on this subject and helping me get my own hypocritical and ignorant together, because I think it's important. Like I said, I came at it with a big heart. Like, I really feel like I come at things, I'm not trying to be hateful. I try to understand, but if I don't understand, it irritates my spirit. I'm like, nah, this ain't right. This ain't right. And it was literally a quick 10-minute conversation with you that honestly helped me be like, okay, it really isn't necessarily that deep. Because it's not.
Really,
and it's not as the headlines are making it. And being in the media, I will go ahead and tell y'all, they absolutely make headlines and stuff to catch your attention. They want y'all to talk about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you're going to talk and tell your friend about it, then they're going to look up the article or they're going to watch it on the news. And that's how they get their views. Yep. They don't care if it's correct or what type of, fear it induces. They try to make you watch them. That's why I stopped wanting to do the news media, because I was like, no, that just seems stupid. That's about views. It's not about reporting the facts. And it's just really not what it is nowadays. So even if you hear it on TV or see it on Facebook, can y'all please go find it?
And we talked about that too. I mean, if your high school does not have a sanctioned sport particular to your gender. So let's say Topher wanted to play volleyball and they don't have a boys volleyball team. Topher, as a boy, can join the girls volleyball team, or the volleyball team, as they would say. And that's why you're seeing, and people don't know that. And yes, that kind of deviates away from trans athletes in particular. I get it, because it's kind of like, well, I'm not saying that the trans females are men. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm literally just trying to give examples to people. Like, you do realize, like, how many co-ed, leagues exist, especially when we were younger. I mean, soccer.
Yeah, we talked about that at the Y. All of those were co-ed.
Right, but high school, I mean, if like I said, if your school does not have a sanctioned team for the gender of which sport you want to play, you are allowed to join that team that is offered. Now, granted, do people get backlash for that? Absolutely. Do people go ahead and do it? It honestly has been way more prevalent in field hockey as opposed to, any other sport. I'm talking boys joining, because people really, like you said, Amanda, people don't bat an eye when women join sports teams. It's when you get the boys who join the sports team. So field hockey has actually been super prevalent with that. And a lot of boys have been joining field hockey teams because they don't have a boys field hockey team. So I just think people need to know that as well. Like, boys are able to join sports, whether they're trans or not, unfortunately. So, and women's sports still exist to this day.
And, the thing is, they made those policies for women, but they didn't exclude and say, if you don't have this sports, a woman's sport you can join. It's inclusive in the policy, correct? Like, if they don't have this sport, you can join the opposite sex team.
Yes.
The team that's available. So again, so the name of the game today, you guys, is research. That's just research, but also having these conversations with somebody that does not think like you. I had to ask Jess. I went out because I was like, no, I'm talking about with everybody else that's not in the community. I want to talk to somebody who is, because talking about it with like-minded people, you're not going to grow. Of course, they're going to agree with you. And again, I'm not that friend. I'm an accountability friend. I try to hold myself accountable as much as possible. Therefore, I want to get a full round perspective on this topic. Sitting around in a room with a bunch of Democrats, I'm going to get a Democratic opinion 90% of the time. And so if I want to know what a Republican is thinking and why they think that way, how else am I supposed to know unless I go talk to one? I'm not brave enough yet to actually bring people on this show.
I was going to say, I know somebody you can bring on here, but it would not be a fun time. And
no,
Topher,
and that's the thing.
Topher knows what I'm talking about too, because she was on your post talking nonsense, and I fight with her all the time about her trans stuff that she posts too. So
my goal is to be like Oprah, y'all, and talk to like, you know, my goal is to be like Oprah. Like Oprah had the pregnant man on her show. She has like the best poker face ever. Oprah also, after the LA riots, had like a whole panel with all of the, I mean, like racist people, the Black people, all of them in one, and asking them questions, and she never batted an eye. That is my goal with this and with people. It's like the new age way of doing it is to have these conversations with people who don't always agree with me. And that's not easy. And I'm not quite built to have some conversations quite yet. I've not evolved in that manner. However, that is my goal. I always, like I said, I feel like this is a safe space. So if you have something you want to get off your chest, absolutely. I feel like that is something that you can come do here on my comments and my inbox. Topher has often said that as well. However, never, never, never will we let you disrespect anyone purposely. Like if you say something ignorant or stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I didn't know, like Jess didn't know about Monkey in the Middle. I don't think she was disrespectful. She just didn't know. She just didn't know. But do you see how she asked?
Disrespectful, I'm going to ask you for your address. I'm going to just ask you for your address, your physical location. That's
just pin drop your location. Just real quick, want to send you something.
Yeah. I agree. I'm the same way. If you just don't know something because you're ignorant to it and you haven't just done the research about it, we can have a conversation. But there are people out there unfortunately, there are people out there who do it because they're just hateful people. And that's
correct. I will never sit and let anybody waste my time or anybody that I love on a conversation that they are 100% unwilling to be well-rounded about. You're not here to state your opinion. You're here to hear somebody else's. That's how I need you to come into this conversation. So, and I haven't found many people who do that. So if you are one and you would love to have a conversation with me, but I encourage you to really think hard about that, because I'm no walk in the park if you start getting disrespectful. However, if you really feel like you're ready to hear and have an open conversation of what we're trying to say, where we come from, whether it be about the LGBTQ community, about the racism and all the prejudices that's going on in the world, you want to talk about the stimulus checks and stuff like that, because I know there's opinions on that too. So that's just something that you can absolutely hit me up about. I actually had a couple people who hit me up to be on the show, and I was just like, I don't know if I have a conversation with you. I don't think that's safe. It doesn't fit the brand, people. But Jess, thank you so much. I think this is an important conversation. I love that you came on, dropped a couple mics on us, and made a lot of good points.
Thank you.
So thank you. And yeah, we'll definitely have to have you back on for any other controversial conversations that come up.
Absolutely. I would love it. Thank you guys so much. It was so much fun.
And I am waiting to see.
I got you. I'm about to do it right now. You're gonna know. I'm about to do it right now. I told him I was gonna text him. The girl.
Oh, tell her who it was. Oh,
you need to have her on the show.
No, not if no.
It's coming through. It's coming through right now. Chris is about to get real irritated. Watch.
No, don't look at your phone. I can't. I cannot.
If you have her on the show, our non-existent contract is over.
And I can be there when you do it, please. Can I be there when you do it?
And you can probably guarantee at this point, I would be in prison for life. So hope you got some money to put on some books, because
we'll get a collection from the viewers.
We bailing you out, dude. We ain't putting money on books. That's crazy. We gotta get you out. Don't worry.
Like, I feel like my blood pressure just went sky high.
I know.
All right. So With that being said, Jess, thank you so much for coming on. Topher, it has been an amazing conversation. I'm going to close this quickly so you can go gather yourself. Yes. Baby, always remember, please always remember, you can reach out to us with any questions, comments, or concerns, as well as let us know if you have the topic that you want to talk about, or if some place that you feel you want to feel safe in a conversation that you don't think is being talked about enough publicly. Because let me tell you, everything we talk about on here is being talked about. I promise you, about people you know and are close to. So as always, don't let anybody make you feel bad for your decisions and who you are. So go be authentic to yourself and others and have an amazing week. See you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Are you looking to finally get your podcast started? Or maybe you're looking to perfect the podcast you already have? Well, look no further. Duke's Multimedia LLC is here to help you with all your podcasting needs. We're here to help you grow and learn and make your podcast sound even more professional than you can imagine. Contact Duke's Multimedia LLC via Facebook or Instagram. Duke's Multimedia. Learn, create, produce.